You open the car door, and the heat hits you like a wall. Not a warm breeze, a physical shove of air so hot it doesn't feel like weather anymore. You're standing at Furnace Creek in Death Valley, and the big thermometer by the visitor center reads 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Within seconds, your skin prickles. The first breath you take actually stings going down, like inhaling from a hairdryer aimed straight at your throat. The ground radiates heat up through the soles of your shoes. And you think what almost everyone thinks. Just crack an egg on the hob, grab a quick photo, and get back in the car. It feels like a fun dare. But here's what you can't feel yet. The moment you stepped out of that air conditioning, your body started a countdown. And how long that countdown runs, whether it's hours or a lot less, comes down to some very specific biology and one single number most people have never heard of. So here's what this video is going to show you. By the end, you'll know why Death Valley gets hotter than almost anywhere else on the planet. It's not just desert. You'll see exactly how extreme heat kills a human being step by step and how fast. You'll learn the one number that decides whether any person, anywhere, can survive an environment, and why a muggy afternoon can actually be deadlier than this. And you'll get the handful of things that genuinely keep you alive when the temperature turns hostile. Let's start with why this particular valley is so brutal. Death Valley isn't just hot because it's a desert. Plenty of deserts are hot. This place is special, and the reason is its shape. You're standing in a deep, narrow basin, and at its lowest point, Badwater Basin, the ground sits 282 feet below sea level. That's the lowest land in North America. That low, sunken shape does two things. First, air pressure is higher down here, and when air gets compressed and sinks, it heats up. The same reason a bike pump gets warm when you squeeze air into a tire. Second, the valley is boxed in by tall mountain ranges on both sides. So the sun bakes the bare desert floor, the floor radiates that heat back into the air, and the surrounding mountains trap that superheated air in the basin like a lid on a pot. The hot air can't escape. It just sits there recirculating, sinking, and reheating over and over all day long. That's how, in the summer of 2020 and again in 2021, the thermometer at Furnace Creek officially hit 130 degrees, some of the highest reliably measured temperatures on Earth. And back in 1913, this same valley supposedly recorded 134 degrees, which is still the official world record, though a lot of experts think that old reading was a mistake. Now, about that egg. You've heard you can fry one on the sidewalk or on a car hood in heat like this. So can you? The honest answer is barely, and usually not really. Egg whites need to reach about 158 degrees to actually cook and turn solid. A dark car hood sitting in full desert sun can climb to around 145, maybe a bit higher, hot enough to make the egg turn cloudy and sad, but rarely hot enough to fully cook it. The pavement is usually cooler than that, so the famous egg trick is mostly a myth. But the fact that your body is walking around inside air that's trying to close that same gap, that is very real, and that's the actual danger. Because here's the thing, your body cares about more than anything else, your core temperature. Deep inside you, your organs need to stay at almost exactly 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, about 37 Celsius. That's not a preference. Your proteins and enzymes, the tiny machines that run every cell in your body, are shaped to work at that temperature. Push your core just a few degrees above it, and those machines start to warp and fail. Your body defends that number harder than almost anything else, and its main weapon is sweat. When you get hot, you flood your skin with water, and as that water evaporates into the air, it carries heat away with it. It's a genuinely brilliant cooling system. Evaporation is the same thing that makes you shiver when you step out of a pool. In Death Valley's bone-dry air, that system works overtime. You can sweat more than a liter of water every hour just standing there. Which sounds great until you realize the catch. All that sweat is water leaving your body, and out here, nobody's putting it back fast enough. Within an hour or two, you're seriously dehydrated. Your blood volume drops, your heart has to pound harder to move it. And here's the cruel part. The thirst you feel always lags behind. By the time your mouth feels dry, you're already well into trouble. And now the countdown speeds up. As dehydration sets in and your cooling system starts to sputter, your core temperature begins to climb. First comes heat exhaustion. You feel dizzy, nauseous, weak. Your head pounds, your skin goes clammy.
That's your body waving a red flag, telling you to stop and cool down right now. If you ignore it, if you keep standing in that sun, you cross into the real emergency, heat stroke. And heat stroke is where it gets genuinely frightening, because it's a brain event. Deep in your brain sits the hypothalamus, the thermostat that's been running your whole cooling operation this entire time. When your core temperature blows past about 104 degrees, that thermostat fails. And when the thermostat fails, something terrifying happens. You stop sweating. Your skin goes hot and dry. Your last line of defense just shuts off. You get confused, you slur, you can collapse, and internally, your organs are literally beginning to cook. Untreated, heat stroke can kill in a matter of minutes. This is not feeling really hot. This is your body's temperature control breaking down completely. It's the same thing that fills emergency rooms every summer, and it can strike shockingly fast. An athlete pushing through a workout, a roofer on a job site, a child left in a parked car can go from fine to critical in well under an hour. A closed car in this kind of sun can turn into an oven in minutes. So that's the picture in Death Valley: brutal, dry, deadly heat. But now here's the twist. The part that flips everything you'd assume about surviving temperature. Because as vicious as 130 degrees sounds, in that bone-dry air, a healthy person with water and shade can actually last a surprisingly long time. The dryness is doing you a favor. Your sweat evaporates instantly, so your cooling system keeps working. Which means the real killer isn't the temperature on the thermometer at all. It's something the thermometer doesn't even show you: the humidity. And to understand why, you need to meet the one number that truly decides human survival: the wet bulb temperature.
Picture wrapping the bulb of a thermometer in a wet cloth and swinging it through the air. As water evaporates off the cloth, it cools the thermometer, exactly like sweat cooling your skin. The temperature that thermometer settles at is the wet bulb temperature, and it captures both heat and humidity at once. It is, essentially, a measure of how well you can cool yourself by sweating. And it has a hard ceiling. For a long time, scientists put that ceiling at a wet bulb temperature of 95 degrees Fahrenheit, 35 Celsius. The logic is simple and merciless. If the wet bulb temperature hits your own skin temperature, evaporation stops completely. Your sweat just sits there. It cannot cool you no matter how much you produce, and your core temperature climbs with nothing to stop it. At that point, a perfectly healthy person sitting in the shade, doing nothing, with all the water in the world, will overheat and die in around 6 hours. And recent research from Penn State, testing real people in a heat chamber, found the true limit is even lower than that, closer to a wet bulb temperature of 31 degrees Celsius for young, healthy adults. Here's why that should stop you cold. It means a sticky, humid 95-degree day in a place like the Gulf Coast can push you closer to that lethal line than a dry 130 in Death Valley. The number that looks scary on the thermometer isn't the one that kills you. It's the invisible partnership of heat and humidity. And as the planet warms, more regions are creeping toward wet bulb levels the human body simply cannot handle. And this isn't some rare, exotic threat. In the United States, heat is the single deadliest kind of weather there is. It quietly kills more people in an average year than hurricanes, tornadoes, and floods combined. It just doesn't look dramatic. There's no funnel cloud, no roaring wind. There's only a number climbing and a body quietly failing. And you don't have to drive to Death Valley to meet it. In the summer of 2021, a heat dome parked itself over the Pacific Northwest, a mild green region where most homes don't even have air conditioning because they never needed it. Temperatures in Portland hit 116 degrees, obliterating every record, and hundreds of people died, many of them alone, in overheated apartments with no way to cool down. The heat didn't need a desert, it just needed bodies with nowhere to shed their heat. So what actually keeps you alive when the heat turns hostile? Here's what matters, and it's simpler than you'd think. First, drink before you're thirsty and drink more than water. Since thirst lags behind dehydration, waiting until you feel it means you're already behind. Sip steadily and get some electrolytes in. Plain water alone in huge amounts isn't enough when you're sweating out that much salt. Second, respect the sun and stop moving.
The single biggest thing you can do is get out of direct sunlight and cut your exertion during the hottest hours. And air conditioning isn't a luxury here. It is statistically the #1 thing that prevents people from dying in heat waves. A few hours in a cool space can reset your entire system. If you don't have it at home, a mall, a library, a cooling center, any of them can save a life.
Third, learn the sign that turns a bad day into a 911 call. If you or someone near you gets confused, stops sweating, and has hot, dry skin in the heat, that is heat stroke, and it is a true emergency. The move is to cool the body as fast as physically possible. Shade, cold water, ice, immersion if you can, while help is coming. Minutes matter. And fourth, stop reading the thermometer and start reading the heat index. The heat index folds in humidity. It's the number that actually reflects the danger to your body, the real-world version of that wet bulb line. On a humid day, the air can be far more dangerous than the plain temperature suggests. So the next time you feel that wall of heat, stepping out of a car, walking to work in a summer that keeps breaking records, remember what's actually happening inside you. Your body is one of the most remarkable cooling machines in the natural world, defending that one crucial number with everything it has. But it runs on evaporation, and evaporation has a limit that physics simply will not move. The heat isn't out to get you, it's just indifferent and relentless and completely honest about its rules. And the difference between an adventure and an emergency isn't toughness or willpower. It's knowing exactly where that line is and having the good sense to step back before you cross it.